Well, this is kind of unexpected, but it's time for another Big Wheels Turning video on Rosie the T-Max here. I was out for a ride. It's been rainy here this spring, well, this winter in Seattle. Had 23 inches or 24 inches of rain up to the end of February, and normally we don't get that until like May. Last year it was July before we had 24 inches, so it's been wet. And then on a sunny day that I was out riding, I had a little, the first. I've never had one before, so let me reset up and we'll show you what I had a first in. I was riding along, minding my own business, and the next thing I know I had a thump, 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 and I got a, come on, a slice in the tire. It goes from here over to here. And I lost pressure pretty quickly on that, so got it home. That's a story in of its own. There's a little better close-up of the spot. It's about 3/4 inch slash. So I got a new set of tires. I got these from Bike Bandit. I believe they're out of San Diego. They had a good price on them. And one interesting thing that they have is that they don't carry these in stock. They put the order through the manufacturer, so these came from Michelin. And I was looking up the code numbers on the dot. Behind the dot number, the first two are the week and the last two are the year. And this one was manufactured in, both of them are made in Spain, which probably would, you know, because they're scooter tires, it'd be Bergman and T-Max country over there. This one was made in May of 2019, and this one was made in August of 2019, so they're not even, either one of them, a year old. And they're Michelin Road, Pilot Road 4s, and they say scooter on them so because of the 15-inch rims, but they look exactly the same as the one for the big bikes too. They're larger rims. And the tread on the old Pilot Sports and these new ones, a lot more siping, and I think these are going to be absolutely unbelievable in rain. And these have been pretty good, even though I'm not a rainy day driver, but these should be spectacular. And supposedly they're even, the 4s have more durability than the 3s and the 2s, and you know, so this is kind of like the primo of the Michelin tire line now. So let me get the rest of my tools set up and we'll go on with this. Well, you've seen a lot of this already. Take off the cover, take off the nut holding the axle into the silent chain housing, which is really tough. But you want to, what I've done was, here we got here, I have this union or joining coupling, which is I don't know, 15, 16 millimeters that fits in the end of this one, and I have a larger one that fits on the front axle to kind of hold it in place so that the pinch nut on the right-hand trailing arm is not taking the full load. So that's a handy thing to have. So now we'll drop everything down. Well, hopefully you observant one out there would say, "Warren, you dumb shit, you got to take the brake off first." So I did. And I had an old toothbrush that I used for epoxy work that had, I pulled out all the bristles in it, and it's a nice thickness to jam in between the plates, the brake pads, to keep them from closing up on you. So now we can go ahead, pull this baby off. Maybe. Gently, 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 gently. Pull it out. There we go. Okay. Still get my grease in here from when we lubed it up, put it back in the last time. Need to clean off the, starting to get some wear marks on the oil seal. It's hard to Yeah, let me tip it down, it'll be easier. It's hard to get in here to keep the dirt out. So I don't seem to be leaking any, so I'll go ahead and clean that up as best as I can. Check the seal. So now we go to the tire rack. This has already had the bead broken from riding on it. I think I was able to get it to get me about a mile to a safe space before I pulled over and parked it and went home and got my trailer, which is another long story. One of the things you want to check is when you get it wiped down, check in behind this seal. Make sure that it's not flooded out from a failure of the seal in between. There's 3 seals on the silent chain case. One on the outside, on the chain side, one on the wheel side, and then this one that goes between the case and the wheel, which kind of keeps out moisture and crap out of ruining the one on the tire side of the silent chain. So that is dry, so that's a good thing. Okay. Well, one of the things you have to do is lube up the tire, lube up the rim in the center so it pushes down, lube up, let's see, the top of this rim, the inside of one on the bottom, and the facing on this side. And then you push it down. Or you can cheat. Push it down. There we go. Follow the instructions. You have to stop here for the time being because I can't remember. Right now the valve stem is right here, and I can't remember what the thing is I'm supposed to be looking for on the tire for supposedly its heavy spot. I can't remember. I cannot remember for the life of me. Whether it's the dot, I was thinking there was some kind of triangle, but I don't see any triangle or anything like that. So, but I can go ahead and put the tire on. Let me read the instructions on that, and I can slide it around once it's in place. But the disc is on the bottom, so that means the tire is going to go that direction, and then I got the tire going that direction too. So you know, you can't screw up too much, yeah. Because yeah, right now the valve stem's over here and my weights are over here, so they're at different spots. We'll come back. I have overcome adversity and got this thing on. But before I inflate it, I got to find out where I need to actually position the tire. It's got plenty of little things around here saying the tire's going that way. So let me call it a day-o and figure that out. Let me clean up some of the edges and that'll be it for the day. That's coffee time anyway. Well, I discovered online on Michelin's site they don't have the red and yellow dots on their tires anymore. They figure that their productions are so well or so good that they don't need to do that. That they balance within like 4 ounces. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and try something else. I made up my own. I took the little valve out of here so I'd have a high flow. And I think it'll work better underneath. rolled it around a little bit, see if I can get the bead to slide outwards. There we go. Well, I got my strap cinched down and I rolled it around like this so I could feel the bead popping a little bit. And it came out, so let's put some pressure on it. I wanted to clean this out, and I cleaned off the splines sticking out of the silent chain housing. And the manual calls for LS, which is lithium soap, so that's basically what Yamaha race grease is. So I'll go ahead and put a layer on here. Don't get too much in there, just enough to coat the surfaces and get down into the grooves. That should be enough. Adequate but not over. So one of the things I should have done before I put the tire on all I had was just the hub. Is stick your fingers in and spin the tire and hold them on your fingertips and see if you can feel any niches or hiccups or whatever on the bearings, but there was none, so we're fine. So let's go put this on the balancer. Actually, it works a little easier once you get the wheel balancing. You can feel through the shaft if there's any hitches in there, and there aren't any. Let's stick this on the balancer. Well, I stuck it on there, it came to a stop really close, so I may not have to do anything. And it's going back a little bit. Let me clean off some of the dust around there to get a better. I just had to do some PM on my tool I've only used once. I was noticing that, wait a minute, these bearings aren't turning relative to their shafts. The shaft was tight because it's a shoulder bolt, but they didn't put in an extra washer, which I had to put in right there. You can see this last one next to the blue to get the shaft, the inner race of the bearing, to tighten up against the frame here. So now the bearings are twisting and not the shafts. Maybe it'll work a little better. Well, I got it in pretty good balance right now. It's basically still 4 of them, so it'd be 21 ounces. And the last mark was right about in here. So it moved up that way a couple inches. Well, center of mass probably moved that far. Probably 3 inches maybe. So I'll go ahead. I cleaned up the area with alcohol, so now I'll go ahead and peel it back and stick them in place. And then we'll put this thing on. Before I stick this on, I want to check the sealing ring here. There's no nicks. There's just a little bit of, look like basic micro molecules of rubber embedded in. But I'm gonna just stick on a little bit of race grease on there to help slide it in and give this oil seal a little bit of lubrication. Yeah, maybe just a hair more. Okay, that should be it. The one thing you want to check is right here is a seal for the outside bearing on the right hand side on the shim, and then you got this other, well, I guess that is the shim, yeah, and then you got this part that goes through the pinch bolt. So there we go here, and I got a little bit of grease on it, so let me go ahead and set that in there, and then slide this through. Oh, there we go. Okay, came out the other side. Perfect. I will, before I tighten this down, I'm going to It's into aluminum, steel and aluminum, so I'm going to put some anti-seize on that, so we'll come back. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just something to keep it from future jams on this stuff. And there's no slot in this thing, so this can be left in. Sometimes you'll have a little ring inside the shafts that these things keep them from wobbling around, but this does not have it. So let me go ahead and put the nut on, get the book out, and find out what the torque spec's going to be. And also the little nut goes on the end here, so I can hang my wrench on it when I tighten on the other side. Book says 75 foot-pounds already. Already got up there. Okay, got that one done. Now it's a pinch bolt on the other side, and then we can put the cover back on and the brakes. Okay, we got our brake to stick on. We got our toothbrush to hold the plates. Pull the bolts out, first one. And it settles right down in there. Easy peasy. And these are 29 foot-pounds. And I'm going to put some anti-seize on those too. Always do it. Okay, we got 29 foot-pounds on these guys. There we go. All right, put the cover on and I'm done with it. And we'll be done with this video. We'll do the front wheel as a separate one, front tire change, and then the lube up the speed sensor. And when you got the tire off, I mean, it just makes sense, you know, if you're going to do that, because it needs care. Otherwise, you're going to ruin your speed sensor. Later.